ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste. I want to start with an anecdote or the incident of Dr. Abdul Kalam. He went to an interview in Haridwar for the post of a pilot after his engineering, and it was not selected. There are only 8 posts and 250 people were interviewed, and then he came only at 9th. So what happens? They were able to select all the 8 since all of them went for a good medical examination, and then he could not be selected. Then he was quite disappointed. Then he doesn't know what to do. He was feeling very disappointed and depressed. Then he took the bus to Rishikesh. Then he got into the Rishikesh, and he wanted to have a good dip in the Ganges. So he did it, and then just looked outside from the Ganges. Then he found out there is an ashramam called Shivananda Ashram, and he wanted to get a kind of a solace. Then he went there, and at that time Swami Shivananda was giving a lecture on Bhagavad Gita, and then he went late. Then he sat down on the last row. See, after the program was over, normal tradition is that Swami Shivananda used to call 2 people. Mr. Abdul Kalam happened to be one. Then he asked him to come to the room. Then when he talking to him, then he told him, in Tamil, "So why are you depressed? You are not really all right. So what makes you to feel disappointed?" And then he just explained to him about the interview. He was not being selected. That's why I am very depressed. Then immediately Swami Shivananda opened the Bhagavad Gita book and took the 11th chapter and explained to him about the Arjuna's the doubt and the defeat. And immediately he also told him in Tamil, "Tumbathukku tunbam kodu, tunbathukku tunbam kodu." That means let difficulties know that your too are difficult. That means let difficulty know that you too are difficult. Kunbathukku tunbam kodu. That means defeat the defeatness tendency. Now, what is the perception of our Dr. Abdul Kalam? That means they are kind of a defeated tendency. But the very word that Swami Shivananda told him and also gave a different perception, and according to his own statement of Abdul Kalam, he said that is the fundamental foundation for his life. Whenever there is a difficulty, then I always have a different perception. The difficulty is not to be celebrated, so you have to be solved. Now, this is what the question of the perception. How do you really look at it? Good. Now, see, we have so many information through all the 5 senses. That means your visual, there is a sight, the eye and the ear and also the kind of a smell and a taste and also the touch. So we have got 5 senses through which you are getting the lot of information from the outside world. Okay. Now all the sensation refer to the physical stimulation from the sensory object. Think, okay, I am getting lot of information from all the 5 senses. Eye, ears, nose and the tongue and the skin. So this is all information. So it is a stimulation. It is a sensation. But the real perception involves in interpretation. See, whatever I am getting, this is the information. How I am able to translate it is the perception. See, for example, I am talking to you. So I am the only person. So many are listening to me. But we have so many different perception. Think. That means there is something what you call vasanas, samskara. Because of the samskara, you are able to perceive in a different way. There is only one teacher and there are 40 students, but they have a different perception. Okay, this is the most important thing you have to understand also. Okay, let us understand the framework of the perception. Now, for example, you have the object or a person or a environment. You have a object, environment, or the person, situation, so many things. Okay, that is the object. Okay, that means you are able to get the information from all the 5 senses. That is what you call the awareness. See, since you have the awareness, see, all the 5 senses are projected the outside. That means you are able to understand. So there is a lot of awareness. See, from the awareness, you have to recognize. That depends upon your vasanas, the samskara. So that's why different people have a different perception. So how we can really interpret, most important. So that means from the object to the response, this is the perception. Okay. Then just for you to understand, for example, you see the number. So one fellow says, it is 6. The other fellow says 9. They keep on arguing. Who is right? Who is wrong? Try to understand from the other man's point of view. Try to understand the other man's point of view. So both of them are right. The way in which you are able to perceive makes a difference. Similarly, the other one, very confusing. Okay. So this guy says it is 4, but this 4 says 3. So both of them are right. The perception. Okay, the reality is totally different. Okay, now, for example, the same particular one, what do you call the attitude? See, one fellow says, the glass is half full. The other fellow guy says, glass is half empty. So both of them are right. The way in which you are able to perceive is totally different. So whenever you are discussing with the people, whenever you are able to interact with the people, then try to understand in what way they are able to perceive. They need not necessarily perceive the way in which you are trying to perceive. Think. The most of the problems, you always try to impose your perception to the other person's perception. It is not very absolute. Okay, that is one. Say, for example, when you talk about this perception, I just want to give a small little story. The Pandavas and Kauravas, they had a common guru called Drona. See, Drona is a great teacher, and there is a lot of problem between the Duryodhana and the Pandavas. So one day, Drona called both of them. Then he told Yudhishthira, he said, why don't you find a person who is very wicked? Then immediately he told Duryodhana, so why don't you go and find out a person who is very noble? Try to understand. So Duryodhana, he has to find out a noble person. But Yudhishthira must find out a wicked person. So they went there. They came back with the same answer. They said they could not find. See, Yudhishthira could not find a wicked person. Duryodhana could not find out a noble person. You know why? They are able to see themselves in the others. So Duryodhana is a wicked person. He could not find out a noble person. Yudhishthira is a noble person. So he could not find out a wicked person. So they are able to see themselves in others. That means the perception depends upon your own internal outlook and the chemistry. Okay, that is one. Now this particular question is, you have to understand the application of the perception. See, different perceptions, they are very relative. There is no absolute. That means try to accept the other man's perception and try to understand that he could also be right. Instead of trying to make it as a quarrel. Okay. Now some people look at this cat. It has got a perception that is like a lion. The cat has got a perception as a lion. So our estimation. Now everybody has got their own perception. But the most important thing, you have to accept and also interact with the people also. Now I just want to share one small little joke. I think two guys from the Chennai came to Bangalore. They went to a bar. They used to enjoy alcohol. They had a fantastic time. They were drinking. Okay. Then after everything is over, they started, walking in the Vidhana Saudha. Okay. No, they are completely pitch drunk. So one guy told him, I said, listen, what a beautiful, sun. You are walking on the sun, right? Then the other fellow said, idiot, you are completely drunk. It is not, the sun. It is the moon. Then they started quarreling. The fellow said, the sun. The other fellow said, moon. So they are all quarreling. They are almost about to fight. Then one other person said, hey, both of us are drunk. So why not you find out a person who is just coming before us? Okay, we'll ask him. Whatever he tells, we'll accept. So there is an agreement. So we'll tell whether it is a sun or a moon. Then they went to that particular person. Then he said, sir, I have a problem. This idiot is saying this is this sun. But I know it is only moon. So why don't you clarify? You look to be very intelligent. Then this fellow said, I am sorry, I am new to the Bangalore. I am sorry, I am new to the Bangalore. Because this fellow was completely drunk. Now the whole idea is to find out, when you say the perception, that means yes, there is nothing like, the absolute. It is everything is relative. Now try to understand this particular concept and also interact with the people. See, everybody has got their own opinion. So I want to share one more small little thing which is very nice. Say one teacher just told that I am giving one pen one more pen, and one more pen. So what is the total amount of pen you have? Then he said 4. Then the teacher was completely disappointed. Then he was trying to understand how. Then he could not do it. It was only 4. Then ultimately, then he said, okay, I'll give you here 1 apple, and 1 more apple, and 1 more apple. So how many apple you will have? Then he said 3. Hey, great, you got it. I'll tell you again the same thing. What is that? I'll give you 1 pen, 1 more pen, and 1 more pen. How many pen you have? Then he said 4. The teacher was completely, frustrated. He said, how this can be? That you have got 3 apples here, and I give only 3 pen. But here it is 3. It is 4. How? Then the student told the teacher, he said, I got 1 more pen with me. So your question is, how many pen you have? I have 1 more pen. So I got 4. Now the question is, that means the perception can be totally different. So how can you really interact with the people? Okay, take care and make sure that everybody has got a entitlement to have their own perception. Respect, and so that you are able to interact with the people to have a kind of a harmonious relationship. Take care, all the best. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Sant Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.